the ongoing severe threat continues across western counties. Just had a new tornado warning issued, and you can see it, that blinking red polygon there. And look what it includes. Western side of Jessamine County as you drop down into northern Garrett County, and then just to the north of Danville there. That's in effect through 9:15 this morning. Not only includes Garrett County and western parts of Jessamine County there, also includes Mercer County, and then extends all the way back to the west. It is this cluster of storms that has shown some consistent rotation within the cells that are prompting these tornado warnings, and they're getting some reports of damage back to the west. I don't know if we have any storm reports showing up as of yet. There have been a few reports of damage farther to the southwest. Doesn't look like we have any. But if I broaden the view out a little bit here, you can see the numerous warnings that we've got. There is a very broad severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this line of storms around Campbellsville, Greensburg. Those are tracking east, and of course our newest one, that would be the tornado warning that has just been issued. That does include pretty much the majority of Mercer County there and Harrodsburg. So it's for this cell that's back to the west as you get down. It's around Deep Creek and Mackville in parts of eastern Washington County there. And there's the chance there that you could have some rotation. Even if it's not tornadic, you could still have some straight line wind damage. We've had a few reports of that. If we look at velocity data, you can see where the most likely spot for some of that rotation is. The stronger winds coming in away from the radar site in red, and then the weaker green. So yeah, we're getting these occasional velocity couplets. It's not as clear cut now with some of the cells earlier, but still the potential's there for some damaging wind. And the shear right now is still in that arc, and that does continue all the way down south with some of those storms that are pushing east. So wind shear, some of that stronger winds could get yanked down to the surface and cause some damage there. But the storm that we are staying with at the moment, since it is a tornado warning and it's within the western edge of the LEX 18 viewing area, would be that cell that is currently threatening Marion County. It's right on the county line there of, I should say, Mercer County and parts of Washington County. You've also got a pretty strong cell as you get down towards Perryville and points farther south and west. So if you are in the path of this storm, you want to definitely take cover. Get inside. The tornado warning does go through 9:15. If we can get a storm track on it for you, you can see Harrodsburg right within the line of that storm. It is tracking off to the east-northeast at 56 miles per hour. And it's got a width of about 8 miles. The BTI, the tornado index there, is not on the high end, but we've had definite hail this morning. We've had some reports of 1/2 inch to 0.8 of an inch hail, 1 inch diameter severe, and just torrential rainfall and damaging wind. So again, the storm track from that, as it tracks off to the east-northeast at 56 miles per hour, puts it around Perryville. Within the next 6 minutes, the storm is moving, and eventually out towards Atoka and Davis Hill within the next 10 to roughly 15 minutes. That would be on the extreme northeastern side of that warning polygon out towards Highbridge, and as you get into the southwestern side of Jessamine County there. So a tornado warning in effect, and it is going through 9:15. Severe thunderstorm warnings are also in effect as well. So if we zoom you out, because this isn't the only area that's threatened. Northern Kentucky is in pretty good shape. Frankfort, we've got strong storms there, but nothing severe, and just some torrential rainfall coming through Shelbyville. But it is this cluster, and they actually did upgrade the risk to a slight risk for severe storms from the Storm Prediction Center earlier this morning in anticipation of this. This is where we've got the best combination of wind shear and instability. We're starting to see some of these storms firing up. So if you're down around Campbellsville, even though you don't have a tornado warning in effect, you've got this very wide severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect. That's for Taylor County. That goes through 9:15 this morning as well. Marion County and points farther off to the south, you've got it starting to drop off. So as soon as you drop down toward the Tennessee border, all this kind of clears out. So it's this window between Greensburg, Campbellsville, and then eventually up towards Harrodsburg and the western edge of Jessamine County where we need to pay the most attention. And you've got the potential threat there from not only straight line wind damage, but possibly some tornadic storms as well. You hear us talking about this all the time. Sea duck method. If you're within the path of that storm that I just outlined for you, you've got to close interior doors and get downstairs. So those are the first steps whenever you're protecting yourself from a possible approaching tornado. Get under something. get into the center of the house and keep away from windows. That's one of the most important parts because the potential is there. If you have blowing winds, you could have some glass blowing. I used to live in a house on a slab, so what we would do during tornado warnings is get into the interior bathroom, or if you've got a closet inside the house on the first level on the slab, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can, and that's always some really good advice in a situation like this. Let's return to radar and see if we can get you back, show you what's going on. Here's the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect, and that is through 9:15. So still keeping an eye on the cell that's just now getting into the western side of Mercer County. And again, down around Deep Creek, you've got torrential rain just north of Perryville. But it is this general area that I've been talking about where you've got the most likely potential for some damaging wind and possibly some rotation within that cell. See if we've got an updated sweep here to give you an idea of the rotation. It's these two matching areas of wind shear. You've got wind going in one direction and you've got the wind going in the other direction. That's the area that we want to focus on here and get an idea of what we're dealing with. And again, this hasn't been stellar radar presentation, but you're showing 40-mile-per-hour winds there and a little weaker, almost 30-mile-per-hour winds. So that sets up that rotation and gives you that potential to see possibly not just straight-line winds, but some tornadic activity. So if we pop the general radar back up again, you can see where I'm talking about as we zoom in right down towards Deep Creek, Dixieville. That is where that cell could be the strongest. And then right here is Harrodsburg. So storm's getting awfully close to you in Harrodsburg. And then we have these additional storms that are dropping down to the south and the west that are going to cause some problems as well. So down towards Forkland, Butchertown, right along this line, you want to watch out for that possibility of damaging wind and just torrential rainfall. But we'll stick with the tornado warning as long as it is issued, since it's now threatening our western edge of our viewing area. There you just saw the radar update, and that storm starting to progress a little farther to the east. And again, it's that potential rotation right there just to the southwest of Harrodsburg that we'll watch out for. We've also got some storms that we can plot down towards Campbellsville that have been running off to the east-northeast. This one is going to work its way off to the northeast, east-northeast. We're showing that it's got a forward speed of about 60 miles per hour. So these storms are picking up speed and also still showing those lower end signs of rotation and also the potential for some hail. Now, hail was a little more of a factor earlier this morning when we were getting indications of up to 0.8 of an inch, almost an inch in diameter hail. But any of these storms could be responsible for producing just, again, torrential rainfall, some hail, and the possibility of some damaging wind. So if we zoom out and give you the broad view, give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. Right here, of course, is Lexington. So this is creeping up on Nicholasville, Jessamine County. You get that round of storms up through Frankfort, and also that warning for that line of storms coming through Campbellsville. Sometimes you hear tornado warnings issued, and you hear us say severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible. Sometimes you see indications of rotation that just aren't clear enough for an actual tornado warning. So you will get a tornado warning embedded, or a tornado possible embedded within a severe thunderstorm warning. That's happened a couple of times this morning, but we've also had, and this is now, I believe, our third tornado warning that has clipped our viewing area, and it is again that cell as you get down to around Harrodsburg that is causing the most concern. Pull this out of here and give you an idea what we're talking about. Tornado warning in effect, that goes through 9:15, so we've got about 15 more minutes of this before we see what happens with it. A lot of times these spin up quickly and then start to diminish again, but again, the overall velocity, you can see some of the stronger wind that's coming in with that line of storms and that brighter red back to the west. And then when you want to find out where there's that potential for rotation, you pop up that storm relative velocity. It subtracts the forward motion of the storm. It gives you a better idea of where that shear is setting up. And again, it's now just approaching the western side of Harrodsburg there. So if you are in Harrodsburg proper or central parts of Mercer County, this is the time to take shelter, get inside, get between as many walls as you can. If you have a basement, great, that's even better. If it's not a basement, It's got to be an interior room with some walls that you can put between you and the outside in case you have, the glass flying and other potential hazards there. As far as the rainfall is concerned, it has been torrential, and that has been kind of a secondary concern. I think we may have had a few flood advisories issued, but overall, the main threat is going to be this continued chance for tornadic activity. We've got the western edge of that tornado warning now being pared down as the threat clears parts of those counties that were under that. And now we're pretty much just centered right on Harrodsburg with that tornado warning in effect through 9:15. I believe we got Emily in. Okay, Emily's in here. That's good. Emily, you hearing anything as far as damage is concerned? Many of these areas? Not seeing anything yet? Okay. So, again, Harrodsburg, that's the area that you want to be the most concerned with as far as the potential for that tornadic activity. And let's get a look at the rainfall rate, just to give you a quick idea. Yeah, it's talking about torrential downpours. Look at this, where you're seeing that purple, that is just absolute heavy rain that is coming in. So you catch the wind, and then you catch that really heavy rain on the back end of it as it pushes through. So you could be talking about rainfall rates of, 2-3 inches per hour or higher that are absolutely inundating us. As far as hail is concerned, haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of that. It's been more just wind shear and that possibility of some damaging wind. Okay, so here's yet another update, and here's the velocity data. You can see Harrodsburg proper with that tornado warning in effect, and you've got some wind shear, 50 miles per hour to around 15 to 20 miles per hour. So still getting that sign of rotation there and that possibility of some stronger winds. These are winds that are a few thousand feet up, but still, even if you don't have tornado there, you could still have some straight line wind damage that could cause some problems. And I do know we had a number of reports of damaging wind back to the west as these storms got going earlier this morning. So the chances there, that you could have wind damage even if it's not tornadic. But right there, that little notch, as you get back to the southwest of Harrodsburg, you want to really watch out for that possible tornado that's currently underway. Let's pop back to the west and see if we can give you an idea where it's headed, because we've still got the chance to see other communities impacted by this if it holds together, if it maintains. So if we get a rough idea of the storm track here and move it off to the northeast, and it's been moving around about 50 miles per hour or so. So zooming out a little bit, you can see the general track of that as it tracks off to the east-northeast from Harrodsburg. So that's going to put pretty much where the polygon's going, Nicholasville, within that area of potential hazard there. And here are some of the arrival times there. Out towards High Bridge within the next 10 minutes or so, and eventually out towards Jessamine, 19 minutes, Little Hickman over the next 20 minutes. Harrodsburg, yeah, it's showing 1 minute. This storm is essentially on top of Harrodsburg, right through central Mercer County there. And again, we do have a current tornado warning in effect. As we zoom you in, you can see where some of the strongest rain, some of the strongest reflectivity is. And again, that velocity data. So let's drop you right in and get some roads popping up here around Mackville Road, Riverview Estates, west of Harrodsburg. The indications of rotation are still there within that cell. Anywhere in through central Mercer County, you really want to watch out for that possibility of some damaging wind in a very dangerous situation. Tornado warning remains in effect. That's through 9:15. It doesn't look like they've extended it. Let's see if I can zoom you out. Sometimes you got to do broad sweeps to get this thing to work. But again, the radar presentation is still showing that heaviest rain right through parts of central Mercer County. Harrodsburg lit up with that warning. There we go. And again, it drops down through Danville. If you're down in parts of Boyle County, you're getting some just absolutely torrential rain. You guys are right where that tornado polygon, that warning cuts off. You've got your own severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And yes, there are other numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. You've got one back for that round that's coming through Campbellsville. As we zoom in here from Campbellsville, tracking northeast, so we can get a track on that one as well to give you an idea where that's headed. And that is going to be running off towards Mansville within the next 7 minutes, Merrimack by the next 12 minutes. So that's taking that one that's coming out of Campbellsville in an overall track up to the southwest, some of the areas that have already been impacted. So you can see the general trend in that as you head off towards Stanford and well north of Yosemite there, but still something that bears watching. So numerous warnings in effect, numerous tornado warnings in effect. It was questionable how much we'd be able to get going this morning. There was definitely wind shear around, definitely is wind shear around, but we've also had not the greatest as far as instability is concerned, but we're definitely seeing these storms firing up and causing potential problems. So still have a tornado warning in effect for Mercer County. And if we look at the other stats of it, the specifics, you can see where it extends northeast up into parts of southwestern Anderson County, and parts of Woodford County there. So Versailles, the southern part of Woodford County, has dropped down towards Nonsuch. And then right there is the western edge of Nicholas County, Keene, and then as you head back towards High Bridge, the storm has just pretty much moved right through Harrodsburg and is now working its way in towards eastern Marion County, or I should say eastern Mercer County, and heading off towards northern Garrett County, and then eventually into southwestern parts of Jessamine County. So if you're in the path of this storm, this is the time to take cover. And this is the time to be aware that there's a potential tornado heading in your direction. And again, the velocity data, not terribly impressive with this storm, but still the possibility is there for some of that rotation. And you hear people all the time, debating whether or not it's a tornado or straight line wind damage. 80-mile-per-hour winds or an 80-mile-per-hour wind from a tornado, it's all the same. It does the same amount of damage. So you need to just protect yourself and get in and get away from that storm. Again, I'll pop up the radar and give you a broader view of what's going on here with this storm. We've had a few hours now where a lot of it was on the western fringes of the viewing area, and now we're starting to see it entering the southwestern side of the viewing area. We do also have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning for our northern folks. Don't want to take those out of the equation here to give you an idea what's going on. You've got one that's in effect right up around Owenton. So you've got a severe thunderstorm warning there for Owen County. That goes through 9:30 this morning. So you've got that to deal with. Potentials there for damaging wind and torrential rainfall. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect that goes from Lawrenceburg. And a lot of these have been issued tornado possible due to some of the rotation, especially that cluster of cells that we've been tracking out of north of Bowling Green there coming in. But you've got a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 9:30 this morning. That's for Anderson County, Lawrenceburg. You're in on it. We're seeing some storms blowing up here in Lexington as we zoom in. Nothing severe at this point, although that warning does extend into western Fayette County. This particular round of rain is just some moderate to heavy rain that is currently soaking downtown Lexington. And then you pop out into our eastern counties, and you're not seeing a whole lot of activity there. But this remains the main player, if you will. This cell that's now currently working its way north and east. You've got some just torrential rain, possibly some damaging wind coming through Danville as well. So you want to be aware that that is a hazard there, and these storms are tracking off to the east. We've seen them east-northeast around 50 to 60 miles per hour. So severe thunderstorm warning till 9:30, 9:15. We got about 6 more minutes on this tornado warning, and if you're within the path of this storm, again, just watch out. So that's going to mean anywhere that's in northern Garrett County and then dropping down towards Lancaster, you'll have some showers and storms blowing in here and up towards High Bridge. So it's conceivable this line could hold together enough, although I think it's going to be more of a threat as far as the overall severe threat across southern counties and less of an issue in our northern Kentucky counties. Still something you want to watch out for. And keep an eye out. This shows the wind shear. It's called a shear swath. It just basically shows you the evolution of the wind shear over time and gives you an idea of the path of these storms. And these are where they all originated back to the west. So as you get down towards Lebanon and Springfield, you can just basically see those shear tracks as those storms would pulse, elevate, fire up, and then start to diminish again. And we had these on again, off again warnings as things started to get going. But our current tornado warning through 9:15 this morning looks like they've overlaid it with a severe thunderstorm warning, which may mean they're getting ready to cancel it. Emily, have you seen anything via chat talking about the possibility of dropping it?
No, I think we are going to continue that tornado warning
Okay, tornado warning for another 5 minutes.
There is another tornado warning that's been issued just north of our viewing area, up around Owen County. So that is going to be going on until...
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the heads up.
Until 9:30 a.m. Still not seeing any reports of damage here in our viewing area, but there has been damage reported back over to the west, Breckenridge County, Bowling Green, places like that.
Yeah, and some structural damage, I think I was reading before I went on the air, out in that direction. Okay. Emily is also running social media, so hop on there, the Twitter feed, our Facebook page, whatever your social media pleasure is, you'll be able to find information that she's putting out there about these storms. So that is the current warning, tornado warning that's up north. So that does include Dry Ridge. I mean, we're way up into Grant County. This is the eastern side of Owen County. Right there's Owenton. So that's the current tornado warning for that one. If we pop up some velocity data, again, you're seeing these greens and reds, these little couplets trying to get going, these spins in the wind that indicate there could be more than just mid-level rotation. There might be something trying to get down to the ground, give us some damaging wind gusts, whether it's tornadic or not. The possibility is there. So we've got an ongoing tornado warning for Owen County. That goes through 9:30 this morning. For our northern viewers, that means that storm is going to be pushing its way in towards I-75. And then it looks like they've got that tornado warning still ongoing down to the south, and they have issued and kind of overlaid a severe thunderstorm warning to take into account this line of storms. And now that includes Richmond. So if you're down around Madison County, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect through 9:45 for these storms that are moving off to the east-northeast. We can get a quick view of where they're headed. This one that's back towards south of Harrodsburg there looks like it's a potential damaging wind producing storm. Still seeing that tornado index bouncing between 3 and 4. That really hasn't changed much. So it's not a huge signal of a tornadic development, but definitely the potential there for damaging wind, whether it's straight line or spinning there. But this cell that's on the move does come up towards Nicholasville and eventually even in towards the southwestern side of Fayette County. So we could see some strong to severe storms coming in there. At the moment, though, if I can get rid of all this mess and give you a cleaner view of what's going on here, get the warnings out, and just give you a straight-up view of the Max Track, the radar, it's this round of showers and storms that now stretches all the way from northern Kentucky, I-75. Right there's Georgetown through Scott County, and it runs, well, let's just keep following it. It runs all the way up past Dry Ridge towards northern Kentucky. We've got this solid line of storms, and these occasional breaks is where you really want to watch out for as well, for that possibility of some development of a spin there. But the main player, see how it's kind of bowing out right there, that segment of storms? It's an indication of some of those stronger winds aloft getting yanked down and actually pushing the leading edge of that line of storms out. And then it just kind of hooks around back to the southwest behind it. And then you've got another round of storms that are coming out of Campbellsville. Pop those warnings back up and see if we can get an update on those to give you an idea what's going on, since we've got those multiple tornado warnings ongoing. Still got that one going through 9:15, so that's set to expire here shortly. And then you've got your severe thunderstorm warning in effect. That does include Jessamine County. Also goes all the way out to the western side of Clark County and down through Richmond. And we've got quite a bit of rain. Fayette County does have an active severe thunderstorm warning. You've got to hunt to find it. It's into western Fayette County. And then back to the west, you've got that continued severe thunderstorm warning there. So they're continuing the tornado warning for that cell, although it's already past the area that it was issued. Harrodsburg, it looks like you guys are in the clear. But if you're on the eastern side of Mercer County, running right along the river there's High Bridge, you're going to want to watch out. Okay. So it looks like they've gone ahead and issued a new tornado warning. So let's zoom it out and get an idea where it is and where it's headed. Right there's Richmond, Madison County, central northern Madison County. You were under the tornado warning. And right there it is. Goes through 9:45 this morning. So we now have a tornado warning in effect, not only for Richmond. It does include Garrett County and Jessamine County, southern Jessamine County. And it is this just nasty-looking cell that's right here in the heart of all of it that I've been continuing to track throughout the morning. So ongoing tornado warnings. There's been a history of this as they've moved east. If you were in the path of these storms, you want to get indoors and get under something and take protection, protect yourself. And right there it is again. As we zoom in on that velocity data, you can see that couplet that I'm talking about. It's an indication of possibly some rotation within the cell. So east of Danville now, you guys are pretty much in the clear. But you get down toward Davistown, and as we zoom in a little bit, you can see the greens and the reds that are basically locking up. And anytime they start to get closer together and match up, that's when we have that possibility of tornadic development there. So you've got 25-mile-per-hour winds and 22-mile-per-hour winds. Not as strong as it was earlier, but the shear is still there, and the potential is still there for a tornado, which is why we've still got a tornado warning in effect. Let's pop up the radar and show you where it's going next, because we've got the potential for a long morning here with the way these things have been going. So torrential rainfall, that little notch right there on the back edge, frequent lightning as you drop south, down to the south. And we zoom you out, give you an idea of that tornado warning, if I can get the computer to cooperate. I'm the morning guy. I don't get to do this as much as Bill, so I'm a little rusty. You've got severe thunderstorm warnings to the north, and then you've got this tornado warning right here. So the tornado warning does include Nicholasville as well, most of Jessamine County, and then it runs right through and clips southern Fayette County. So as far as the people that are in on it, if you've got a phone, it's lit up with a tornado warning for Fayette County. It is the cell that is moving northeast, and Fayette County, as far as the threat is concerned, we're running the extreme southern edge, or northern edge, I should say, of that polygon with the southern edge of Fayette County. So right there's Athens, and then as you drop down towards the Bluegrass Depot in Richmond there, you've got that tornado warning starting. But again, it's for this cell that is currently back to the south and the west. You've also got some nastier cells back to the southwest. Looks like they may have dropped some of the warnings for those, but they're still packing a punch. You could have frequent lightning and some hail coming out of that one that just came through Campbellsville. And as well, you've got some heavy rain as you get through Liberty. But we have an ongoing tornado warning, and it's getting closer to higher populated areas, has the potential to cause more damage, more impact. There's more construction around, more homes, and more areas that could be threatened. So just use extreme caution if you're within the path of this storm. And we say this all the time. I know you probably get sick of hearing it, but we say it for a reason. If you're in the path of this storm that I've just showed you, there are methods to deal with it, especially here in Kentucky where a lot of folks don't have basements. It's called the C duct method. It used to be the duct method. We added the C for the extra protection. Close interior doors, get downstairs, get under something, get to the center of the house, and keep away from the windows. When I was a kid, they used to think that if you pop the windows open, it would, regulate the pressure and you wouldn't have that issue with flying glass. Tornado's not going to care. Damaging wind's not going to care if the window's open or shut. What can happen, though, is if you shut the window, you can at least hold off some of the flying debris until eventually, the window fails if it gets that bad. But yeah, close the windows, get downstairs, get under something, get into the center of the house. The main idea is to put as many walls between you and the outside as you can, because that helps deflect debris, and then keep away from windows. And that's your best bet. And if you've got a basement, you're even better off there as far as the potential for riding it out safely. So tornado warning in effect through 9:45 now, and that is including Fayette County. As we zoom in on this cell, getting any indications of any damage or anything there, Emily? Doesn't look like she's hearing me there, but I have not seen much in the way of reports of damage within
no damage yet,
Fayette County or counties farther west. I know
there trees bending over in Anderson County.
Trees bending over in Anderson. Okay. So yeah, radar indicated tornadoes. Doesn't mean there's a tornado. That means that the radar's indicated there could be. But again, that's that possibility of damaging straight line wind or tornadic winds. Doesn't matter if it's 80 to 100 miles per hour. Either way, you're going to have damage. And we've got that ongoing tornado warning now through 9:45. And it does include some of our more densely populated areas. Richmond, you're in on it. And again, that cuts off right on the southwestern side of Clark County there. Winchester going right through southern Nicholasville, south of Nicholasville through southern Jessamine County. In addition to the tornado warnings, there are also some severe thunderstorm warnings. Looks like they've dropped out a little bit down to the south, which is good news for you guys. But still, these storms are tracking off to the northeast 50, 60 miles per hour. So that one that's in the northern part of Casey County there, that's heading off to the northeast, and that is moving 50, 60 miles per hour, which means it's going to be up, I love the town name, Chicken Bristle, around 9 minutes, Shelby City by around the next 11 minutes, and these are all generally in that northeastern track as far as the overall track of the storms is concerned. Danville, you guys are in the clear. You kind of started all this, so no concerns for you as far as the ongoing threats concerned. It's pushed east. You've still got some heavy rain, southern side of Boyle County there. But the main threat, the main damaging wind threat, and you can see that's that little bit of a bow in the line, is now currently moving just to the west of Lancaster. So if you are in and around Lancaster, you want to take shelter from this storm as well. It just went through Hedgeville, some of the smaller communities there. Now we just got a radar update, and you can see it continuing to move east. So it's now into parts of Garrett County, dropping south just north of Stanford, and out towards Bourne there. But the overall tornado warning is still a little farther north from that cell. It's tracking off to the northeast. So an updated storm track on that one. You can see we've got, it's moving 60 miles per hour, putting it around Taylorsville by next 5 minutes and Cottonburg next 7 minutes. Some of these smaller rural areas before you get back into the more densely populated areas. So yeah, an active day for us. It was starting out looking like it may be a marginal risk and we could get a couple of warnings out of it. But this persistent area of rotation that we've been seeing out of some of these cells, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here, has prompted a lot of these tornado warnings or these severe thunderstorm warnings that have a tornado possible assigned to it. So let's zoom back out and see if we can get Louisville's next red back up again and give you an idea of the velocity data from the cell. So right there it is, still showing up. Right there is the southern side of the tornado warning. It has cleared Danville, the back edge of it. But here, it's this storm as we zoom in. Let's see if we can get rid of this lightning data as well.
I'll drive
just to clear it up a little bit.
I'll drive.
Oh, you're going to drive?
Yeah.
Okay. It's that couplet right there.
Yep.
So Buckeye, Cottonburg, Crown Valley, that general northeastern motion to the cell. Bill's going to drive because I'm using this clicker and I'm rusty. There we go. Got somebody else to do the heavy lifting. But again, it's that persistent rotation that we've seen out of these cells that started back farther to the west that is giving us that possibility of tornadic development. So say up towards, well, you're getting into Richmond, the Bluegrass Depot, he's throwing a storm track on there to give you an idea of the updated times of arrival for you. Lexington's right there to give you some perspective. We're on the northern edge of this, so the good idea, or the good news at least, is for Fayette County, the tornado warning will only eclipse our far southern county, but if you're in any county south of us, from down south in towards central and northern Garrett County, and then over through parts of Madison County, you're in the line of the storm. You just pop the radar back up again, and you can see that area, most likely rotation, and the possibility if there is a tornado, that is where it would be. So if we extend you off to the east, you can see around Richmond, as far as the overall storm track goes, it's a little more to the northeasterly, so I think Richmond may not be directly within it, but you're within that cone, so that just means you need to be careful and take the appropriate precautions. But again, this tornado warning continues, and so does that very obvious sign of some velocity data that's showing that potential spin there as you get out there towards that storm. So around Bourne, currently where the storm is, and it is tracking off to the east-northeast. And the wind, the forward speed has generally been between about 50 to 60, sometimes 65 miles per hour, and cooking off to the northeast. So the tornado warning continues through 9:45 this morning, and does include all of these counties that we see within here. Bill, I haven't seen, and Emily hasn't seen too many reports of damage, but we're showing some shear. Right there you can see on the southwestern side. It's showing weak shear, the shear rate. And I was showing you the swath earlier. You can see how it had evolved over time, and you can just see the little spins as these storms continue to work their way up. So much more active back to the southwest. Ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings to the north. We do still have that tornado warning in effect way up into northern Kentucky, and they've actually shrunk that polygon down now. So that is for Grant County, and that goes through 9:30 this morning. Corinth down on the southern side of that polygon, and it's actually overlapped by a severe thunderstorm warning as well. That one just to the south of Dry Ridge, and then of course you've got strong showers, storms, heavy rain, possibly some damaging wind around Georgetown, western side of Scott County there. An ongoing severe thunderstorm warning that does include Midway, so we're into Woodford County, Versailles, back through Millville there. And Lexington starting to get, at least Fayette County, starting to get pieced up by the overlapping warnings that we've got. That's for the severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette County goes through 9:30 this morning. But that is the main area of concern. And right there you see that very obvious green and red, that velocity couplet there give us an indication of where there could be a potential tornado and the possibility of a dangerous situation and the possibility of some damaging wind, whether straight line or tornadic or not. So updated arrival times way out at the end over the next 11 minutes. You've got Stringtown out towards Richmond. You've got kind of midway through the arrival times there. Baldwin within the next 9 minutes. Some of the closest areas, though, Stone says now, Buckeye, within the next minute or two. When a storm is moving 50, 60 miles per hour, it doesn't take it that long to cover ground. So that tornado warning does continue for Madison County. And there you can see those greens and those reds, the velocity and indication of whether or not the wind is moving away from or toward the radar. And then you get that indication of the swirl. The green is toward, the red's away. And there you go. You've got that general rotation of that cell. This warning goes through 9:45. We talked about that sea duct method. We'll just continue to come back to it. Our policy, even though it irritates some viewers, is to stay on the air as long as the threat persists, especially when it starts to get in towards Lexington and some of the more densely populated areas. And I talked about how if you live in a house that doesn't have a basement, the best thing you can do is get on the ground floor, get into an interior room, and shut all the windows and doors and put as many walls, obstacles between you and the outside as you can. So ideally, if you've got a bathroom on the first floor of the house that has a door, you can wall yourself in that, and then that second exterior of your house gives you that added layer of protection. But it's the sea duct method. Close interior doors, get downstairs, get under something, center of the house, and keep away from the windows. That's an important one as well, especially if you hear the storm coming and you want to pop the door open and peek outside to see what's going on. Blowing glass can be a definite hazard. And of course, if you have a basement, ideally, that would be your best place to be. If you know people that have a basement, ask them if you can come over to ride it out. All
right, Tom, update on the tornado warning. The tornado warning for Mercer, Woodford, and Boyle has been canceled, but it does continue with the tornado located, probable tornado located west of Richmond. It's going to continue for Garrett, Clark, Jessamine, Madison, and southern Fayette counties. And again, that's going to be in effect until 9:45.
Okay.
So again, we're looking at that storm west of Richmond moving east at close to 60 miles an hour. So again, this is a storm that will come on very, very quickly.
Yeah, Bill's right. The fast movers, and it doesn't give you a lot of time to prepare, especially if it's only a few miles away. It doesn't take it that long to cover that ground.
And a follow-up, Tom, that the storm has caused damage in Harrodsburg.
In Harrodsburg, we got reports of damage in Harrodsburg.
Yeah, so they're going to be sending a survey out there.
All right. Let's see if we can pop it back over to the radar and get an idea of the current situation with what's going on. There again is that couplet that we were talking about, that potential for a tornado. So right there is Richmond. And this storm is moving off to the east-northeast. So Richmond, EKU, you guys are within the path of this storm. You want to take precautions now. This is the time to do it while it's still a number of miles away. That's taking it out past Richmond. It's got an arrival time around the next 14 minutes, 13 minutes now. You can see the time ticking down as the storm continues to make that eastward progress. So if you're within Richmond, if you're within EKU, any of that area, and points down south towards Berea, it looks like you're out of the danger zone there. It's that cone right there, that area of the biggest concern, starting out where the storm originates and then pushing through Richmond. So the potential is there for it to not only impact Richmond, but to come across I-75. If it stays on the ground, you got the potential for damage to traffic, or at least some wicked wind and some torrential rainfall for folks that are trying to drive up and down the interstate. And then a lot of these smaller communities back to the west. But again, right there is the potential rotation within that cell. And it has been kind of ramping back up, backing off, and then ramping back up again. But definitely seeing that potential threat there. So there's Richmond and I-75 as Bill zooms you in a little bit. That polygon, that tornado warning, extends all the way out into eastern parts of Madison County there. And Bill's showing the potential inflow there and how that storm is set to spin, the possibility of a tornado on the ground, or if not, just some damaging wind that could cause some big-time problems. So zooming right in on Cottonburg and back towards Buckeye, Baldwin, some of the smaller communities as you get in towards Madison County, and we track you off to the east. Again, we're 25 to 30 mile per hour shear showing up there. With those winds, those competing winds away from and towards the radar site, an indication of that possible rotation. So an updated path taking you off towards Richmond now, 10 minutes. So notice how that timer's ticking down. If you're within Richmond or anywhere points farther east, Hillcrest, Red House, Reed's Crossing, you got another 10 to 15 minutes. But this storm is basically just due south of Lexington. And we've also got ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings in addition to the tornado warning. Don't want to leave people out. That's for that cell coming out across Georgetown. So up at the Toyota plant, even if you don't have a tornado, you could easily have some potentially damaging wind, and that is an area that can be impacted. A lot of workers up there, the big Toyota plant, of course, and then running up I-75, you've got yet another cell that's coming across I-75 that has the potential to wreak havoc on commuters or people driving. Even if it's not the wind, it could be the torrential rainfall. So this would be a good idea, a good time if you're trying to drive up or down I-75 to maybe just put it off until these storms pass, because eventually they are going to. But for the time being, we are in the thick of it. And it extends from north to south. We're in a little bit of a break here in Fayette County. You can see right there, we've got stronger cells north and south. So we may get lucky and get gapped. So you've got that severe thunderstorm warning up towards Georgetown and the ongoing tornado warning that is now pushing out of Garrett County and getting in towards parts of western Madison County. So right there, it's pretty much right on the county line. That couplet there that we've seen that's been pretty persistent. It ebbs and flows as far as the intensity goes, but we've had that couplet hanging in there for miles now. So this storm, maybe even if it's aloft the entire time, has still been showing some fairly consistent signs of rotation. So here's Richmond.
Yeah, Tom, it's along and just north of Highway 52.
Long and north of Highway 52. Okay, that's helpful for folks that are living down there. Long and north of Highway 52, and then, of course, I-75 right here. The eastern extent of the tornado warning cuts off into parts of eastern Madison County there. Don't know if they'll extend it or not, but if we continue to see signs like we're seeing right now, they very well may, as far as pushing it a little farther east-northeast. But for the time being, it runs through 9:45 this morning. And you've got additional shower storms down to the south. But the tornado warning, of course, is the biggie. Nicholasville, you guys are pretty much in the clear. That storm is off to the southeast, so you still got an active tornado warning. So does Garrett County, but the main threat is pushed east. You still got some torrential rain and strong winds coming through central and southern Garrett County. And then you've got just south of Stanford, it looks like another pop of what could be some stronger wind gusts and some torrential rainfall. But as far as the velocity is concerned and that possibility for tornadic development, that is the area that is of most concern to us, and that is right now entering western Madison County. So, yeah, the update on the radar, you can see some of the stronger winds toward and away from the radar site. So it's coming right up on I-75 and in towards Richmond. It does look like it's weakened a little bit, but still showing that sign that there could be some rotation there. Tornado safety, where to go? Bill's got this one set up. Got a basement, ideal, right? That's the most obvious place to go. That gives you the most protection. You're below ground. You're away from flying debris. Other options that you have within the house, as we talked about, get into an interior room. This is like my old house. I used to live out in Masterson Station, and we had a set up just like this on the first floor. That interior bathroom. You had all the surrounding rooms, but you could get in there. I was crowded in there with my kids during the Masterson Station tornado all those years ago. Get those doors shut, and then you've also got that added extra layer of the exterior of the house to protect you from debris. Look how they're shrinking down the tornado warning. So the polygon now across I-75, pretty much confined to Madison County. So we've got a tornado warning that goes through 945 for Madison County. Right there is Richmond. So with that storm on that northeasterly trajectory, it could take you literally right through Richmond and EKU and all the surrounding communities. So if you are in any of those areas, you just got to, hunker down and take the advice, what we've been showing you as far as protecting yourself and getting indoors and getting away from the potential for debris. There's that velocity data again showing you that couplet back towards Crow Valley and Cottonburg. Right there's Richmond. Down to the south, you've got some of the smaller communities way out towards Brassfield, the extreme eastern extent of the tornado warning. But yeah, right there is that potential rotation. If there's a tornado, whether it's on the ground or not, or whether you've just got that circulation showing up, that is the likely spot where it would be. So
what's interesting with this, Tom, is this is on a track that's going to take it essentially right over the emergency management office there in Madison County.
Yeah, that's true.
The storm right now is between 52 and the road that takes you to the Valley View Ferry.
Boy, I wish we still had that weather bug camera down there. Yeah, so in and around Richmond, watch out. He's giving you some of the, as we zoom in, you can get some of the smaller street names, just to give you an idea of some of the areas that may be impacted as I'm speaking. Barnes Mill Road, down towards Curtis Pike. And then eventually off to the east, you can see Richmond just out there on the eastern side there, and Crutcher Pike. So the radar showing that torrential rainfall and as well that possibility.
Yeah, this is not a traditional hook that we would look at on the front end of the storm.
Yeah.
It's on the back end here. So you've got that leading edge where it will rain really hard. So even if you're trying to, number one, you shouldn't be outside trying to look at this. You need to be in your safe spot, but you wouldn't see it anyway because you've got this entire area out in front where it is just torrential rain. This is approaching I-75 at this point. It's the area back between Crow Valley and Round Hill where the rotation with this storm has been. And so that is what we are really, really watching with it at this point. So again, you can see how it matches up here with the velocity display. So that's what we are looking at there, Tom.
Yeah, Bill, you got a good point. All those folks that might be out there trying to get video, social media, the longer you wait thinking you might be able to see it, the longer you are putting yourself in the path of danger without probably being able to see it. So the best bet, the best advice right now is just to turn the phone off and get inside and protect yourself from this possible tornado. The tornado warning does continue again through 945. So right there is Richmond, downtown, and you've got that couplet back to the west-southwest. So it's rapidly approaching. Pretty much on top of Richmond as we speak. And moving off to the northeast, I believe what is about 60 miles an hour as far as the forward speed goes. So that's eventually going to take it even farther northeast out of Madison County and then impacting some of our eastern counties. But for the time being, it is pretty much right over Richmond. Here's some of the communities that could be impacted in the future. Doylesville, 13 minutes, a little closer to Richmond. Richmond, it's saying for the next 3 minutes it'll be there. I think it's pretty much on top of you guys now. now. Union City within the next 10 minutes. Waco 12 minutes. The possibility for damaging wind and as well torrential rainfall and frequent lightning. So you've got all kinds of potential hazards there if you're anywhere along Barnes Mill Road, Lancaster Road, some of these smaller roads, and then getting into some of the communities in and around Richmond, Arlington, Hillcrest. This storm is pretty much on top of you at the moment, and there is a potential tornado. We've had reports of damage, but I don't know if we've had any reports of anyone actually seeing it on the ground. And as Bill was saying, it may be difficult to even do that.
This is coming right up on that. That's the southern Richmond exit right here. So where all that new development has gone in.
Right
so
across
that's where we're looking at this coming in right now. Although it looks like over the last pass here with the radar, it's still there, but it's like the rotation may be expanding a little. It's not as sharp as it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, which would be a good thing. But still, potential threat there right through parts of central Madison County. There is the current warning. Do we still have that tornado warning up into northern Kentucky? I know they had it issued. Okay, so they've dropped that. What we're left with are severe thunderstorm warnings, another one that goes up through Cynthiana and Paris and down. Look how Lexington's just wedged between the warnings. You've got one for northern Fayette County and one for southern Fayette County. Lexington, at the moment, Lexington proper is not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but two parts of the Fayette County are. And then you've got this last little shrunk down polygon, the tornado warning, as they pared it down as the threat is ended on the western side, right on top of Richmond. So if you're a student at EKU, if you live within Richmond, if you're traveling up or down I-75, this would be a good time to stop and take cover and try to get out of the way of this storm. We're getting a look at the shear here as well, and the overall threat from the storm does look like it may be starting to...
Yeah, we're looking at this storm basically coming up on I-75 right now, and it is on a track taking it toward right downtown Richmond.
Yeah.
So again, I'm sure the sirens are going off. I'm positive the sirens are going off.
Absolutely.
And everyone in Richmond, you need to be in your shelter right now.
Emily, have you had any reports of damage anywhere else that you've seen?
No damage. Okay. There was one wind gust report at the airport here in Lexington of 54 miles per hour.
54?
And also, that's not even in the tornado warned area. That was, like you said, kind of split between two severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. Also, maybe some small hail reported in Georgetown.
Be interesting to check the gust on the mesonet, too, if you get a chance to do that. So, yeah, ongoing tornado warning now pretty much right on top of Richmond. This storm has been a long-tracked one. I mean, it's come out of the west for miles now. But you're right through a very densely populated area. As you head east towards Stanton and Irvin, if the storm holds together, that's going to be some of the next areas that are potentially impacted from it. It'll pass to the south of Winchester. But on that northeasterly track, it's going to take it up towards Elliston by the next 10 minutes. And then farther out, you're talking Palmer, some of the eastern counties there in Stanton, just outside of the storm track. But again, Richmond through central Madison County, you're currently under that potential tornado, radar indicated tornado. We have an ongoing tornado warning that goes through 9:45 for that cell. And it'll be interesting to see if the National Weather Service continues it off to the east or possibly gives us...
This is right over downtown Richmond at this point.
Right over downtown Richmond. And if they continue the tornado warning or give us a severe thunderstorm tornado possible.
Tom, new tornado warning coming out.
There it is.
It's going to be an extension of this. It's going to be for Clark and Madison until 10:15.
Okay.
And again, continuing to show that storm right over Richmond, moving east at 60 miles an hour. So it's a mile a minute.
All right, and there it is. Okay, so the newest one.
And figure Estill County is going to get tossed into this as well.
Yeah, it's they carved that out, didn't they? Yeah, but you've got a new tornado warning that's been issued, and that does include Clark County. And as you heard Bill say, that goes through 10:15 this morning. Layered over the one that's currently in effect, that'll drop off to take into account the passage of that storm from Madison County, eastern Madison County, and then eventually across the county line there. So the storm is still pretty much right around Richmond, rapidly tracking east. So within another few minutes, Richmond should start to see conditions improving there. But You've got torrential rain, and again, that possibility of tornadic development there. You can see the time lapse that Bill threw up as it comes across parts of Madison County there, and again, the additional storms up to the north. So those are the two big ticket items as far as the current warnings go. We do have those numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. Well, the few that are up north, we've had numerous severe thunderstorm warnings this morning. We're still seeing those signs, although they're not great, those signs of rotation. Go ahead, Bill. Oh, okay. But yeah, we're still seeing signs of that. So that new warning.
For Estill, Tom, they are just going right now severe with a torr possible.
Okay, Estill County severe torr, and there it is. So look at that. How they've linked it up. Almost looks like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. So they gave an eastern extension of the tornado warning just to take into account that continued signal of rotation, although it's not looking as great. And then they've extended it out and changed it over to a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, due to that ongoing cell that'll likely work its way in towards Stanton, north of Irvin there, and could still pack a punch for as far as damaging wind gusts go. But we may start to see the storm weakening as far as the overall chance for tornadic development. But it's over top Richmond, now moving pretty much into eastern parts of Madison County. And you've got that old tornado warning back to the west that's set to expire soon.
And you see how it's beginning to bow out here?
Yeah.
It's going past the depot.
Winds pushing out in the middle. That'd be a good place for some straight line wind damage as well.
Yep, and then if there's a tornado with the storm, this is what it is. That's the little hook that you'll see right around Richmond. This is just now getting to the northern side of the bypass there in Richmond.
Yeah.
So again, this is a tornado warning until 10:15. The eastern extension now until 10:15 for Madison and the southern and south eastern parts there of Clark County. So this is getting out there by Trapp, headed down there toward the Kentucky River. So that's in a pretty rural area there of southeastern Clark County. This is going to be south of the Mountain Parkway, and then it becomes a severe thunderstorm warning then in Powell and Estill counties. So again, what we have is a squall line with likely strong winds right on the front edge here, out here by Richmond, and then the tail end is where we're seeing the potential for that all wrapping in. So again, this storm has had a history of damage. It has also been steadily moving to the northeast. And again, when you look at the velocity displays, it's not as tight as it was 15, 20 minutes ago.
Definitely broadened out.
Yeah.
So if you are in the path of this storm, as we were talking about, whether it continues tornadic or not, when they've got the severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, it's going to go through some of those more lightly populated areas that Bill was talking about. Braced for the arrival of this, say out towards Stanton, some of those communities a little farther east, because it's heading in a direction. And as Bill was saying, this thing's moving around 60 miles per hour or more, so it's not wasting any time. And you've got it now. It looks like the back end of that starting to clear Richmond, at least where you see that notch that Bill was talking about. Now starting to push east into eastern parts of Madison County. So arrival times now, as you get in towards College Hill within the next 7 minutes, way out to the east, and you can see Stanton out at the end of the storm track, Iron Mountain over the next 12 minutes. 12 minutes towards Witt Springs as well, some of the smaller communities into eastern Kentucky. And yeah, that velocity data is not looking terribly impressive.
We're also kind of getting to the point where we're distant from the radar site.
True. Eventually you need to
Let's switch over to Jackson for a second here.
Let's see what Jackson looks like.
Same basic look.
Yeah. How's the velocity? Yeah. So, well, right there's Richmond, and you can still see the dueling colors, that indication of that potential rotation.
So, yeah, this is back toward the radar. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's toward the radar. That's away from the radar there.
Yep.
But again, you got a little bit of it's still clustered together there. And so again, this is east and northeast of Richmond at this point. It's going to be likely north of Highway 52. Highway 52 is what you see going there from Richmond toward Bybee, and then toward the Estill County line. And so that is the area that we're looking at. Really is that right in there. That's headed toward College Hill and Doylesville. Cressy again also in the path of this as it's moving at close to a mile a minute.
So again, if you're just joining us, we have had over the past hour or two ongoing severe thunderstorm coverage. A lot of it started out west outside the viewing area, but has started to pick up and, of course, is now running through the heart of our viewing area just to the south of Lexington as far as the tornado warning goes. We have an active tornado warning in effect for Madison County. That goes through 10:15. You notice how it's kind of fitted together with the severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, and that one runs out into Estill County and Powell County, and that goes through 10:30 this morning. So National Weather Service likely anticipating that this couplet that we've been watching, this rotation, may start to back off a little bit and be able to get them away from the tornado warning. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings up north. You've now got it through parts of Bourbon County. Right there's Paris. Cynthiana, which actually got hit earlier this morning, has got another round coming through. You had some hail reported up there. We had a couple of reports of hail, about a half inch to an inch in diameter. And we're
still
seeing
that, Tom?
Yeah.
Up there by Cynthiana?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you've got another tight rotation potentially up there by Cynthiana.
So this is severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, I would imagine. Right there, as Bill is outlining, that would be your area of rotation, pretty much right along Cynthiana, across the river into parts of Harrison County. And then additional severe thunderstorm warnings as you head north. Mount Olivet, Robertson County, as you get into northern Kentucky, you guys are in on it. And then there's another one farther north. So that cell that's coming out of Cynthiana, it's heading towards Flemingsburg, and that one is moving as well. So some of the areas that it's going to impact: Barefoot within 9 minutes, Pleasant Valley within the next 20 minutes, 18 minutes for you. And all these storms have generally had a northeasterly track, taking them off through central Kentucky and eventually moving them into our eastern Kentucky counties. But that is a severe thunderstorm warning. It's in effect. Cynthiana points farther north, and at the moment, the only tornado warning I believe we still have in effect is that one that expires at 10:15 for Madison County. The threat has pretty much passed Richmond. You can still see that couplet there. So into eastern parts of Madison County, where it's a little less populated, but still you've got these smaller communities. You want to watch out for that chance. Union City, Bill's zooming in here to try to give you an idea of some of the smaller roads out there. Nolan Road, Union City Road, that are in the path of this storm. Oakley Wells Road, right there's Doylesville, and points farther north and east, eventually taking you off towards Kimbrell and Hargett. Those are all communities within the path of the storm. That's the eastern edge of the polygon as far as the tornado warning is concerned, and then it kicks over to that severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible. So another track Bill's showing you from where that rotation is the most likely on the radar presentation there. Some of the communities, the smaller communities that will be impacted: Cressy within the next 9 minutes, Log Lick 10 minutes, and Right Angle within 11 minutes, Kimbrell within 12 minutes. So off into some of these much smaller communities northeast of Madison County there. So turning into a very busy morning for us. If you are able, the storm has passed and you've had some damage, go ahead and send us a note, drop us a line. You can hit us via Twitter or our LEX 18 Facebook page just to report it. Also report it into the National Weather Service. Bill's showing some of the potential shear there. It's now existing over eastern Madison County, so coming up on College Hill. Bobby, I was talking about Doylesville, right on the northern edge of that. So the storm is getting pretty much right into the far eastern extent of the tornado warning as far as the polygon's concerned, and then we'll transition over to that severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible. Radar's up. Heaviest rain right now on the eastern side of Madison County. So now it's still got that little bit of a bow there, and some of the strongest winds still possibly getting down to the surface there in the eastern side of Madison County. So even if you don't have a tornado, you can still have that kind of squall line effect where you just got that rush of wind that comes in and causes some damage. So I think the most likely spot to see that is where Bill just outlined, coming in towards Irvin, and there's that area of potential rotation on the back edge of it where you see that break, that possibility of a tornado, at least radar indicated, just to the south of Doylesville now. College Hill, you guys are awfully close to it. And then eventually down south is where you've got that possibility of some stronger potential straight line winds. And this has been pretty consistent. The numbers have been in that 20, 30 mile per hour range throughout the duration of this.
Yeah, the beam height at this point is about 3,200 feet.
Yeah. So, ongoing threat over eastern Madison County as far as the tornado warning is concerned. And then we go over to that severe thunderstorm warning. So if you're up around Winchester, of course, back towards Lexington, the threat has pretty much cleared here. We've still got rain coming down in eastern Fayette County. Remember how we were kind of sandwiched between two severe thunderstorm warnings? That has ended. So you've got warnings north towards Cynthiana and Paris. Looks like they've dropped most of them down across southern counties, although that's settled down towards Stanford. Coming in towards Mount Vernon, Berea, you want to watch out torrential rainfall and the possibility of some damaging wind gusts there. But the one lone tornado warning that we still have in effect is for Madison County, although it's already cleared Richmond. It's moving quite rapidly into eastern Madison County. You can see Bill highlighting it where it is. And then
you're going to watch that area too, south of Berea, north of Mount Vernon, where you're seeing the kink in the line.
Yeah.
And also coming out of the eastern part there of Lincoln County, coming into the western part there of Rockcastle County, Crab Orchard to Broadhead. It's another area to at least keep an eye on. There are no warnings for it right now, but again, it's coming into a more favorable environment. So that's an area that we need to continue to watch. But you can actually see the comma head here, where you've got, think of this as almost like a little mini area of low pressure. So you've got that rotation center right here, and then you've got the front that comes off the leading edge. So again, it's like you would see it on a regular weather map at this point. So that's the area that we are continuing to watch.
Just canceled tornado warning for Clark and Madison.
Okay.
All right. Tornado warning is canceled. We'll go off the air for now. If they pop a new tornado warning, we will certainly be back with you if you're in the path of any of these storms. You want to use extreme caution as they continue to progress off to the east-southeast, but you can see we've dropped it off to a severe thunderstorm warning back to the east, and that does continue for Irvin and Stanton. And again, that area down to the south that Bill was talking about, you want to watch out for the possibility of some damaging wind down there. And again, the possibility of some hail as well. We haven't discussed that as much. We did have some reports of half-inch to almost 1-inch hail earlier this morning. Cynthiana was one of the areas that was hit. But that's our lone severe thunderstorm warning that is still in effect. And right there, you can still see that velocity data back to the west of northwest of Irvin there as you get into northeastern Madison County.
Hey, Tom, we're going to hold here for just a couple more minutes. See if this thing completely winds down.
Yeah. It's conceivable we could have it extended. What's velocity looking like farther south?
Further south.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's all unidirectional.
More straight line, yeah. Okay.
So, again, that was where you had that kink in the line, which showed up better in that display. It's still watching that area around Broadhead, but right now it's behaving.
Yes.
But it's that area to the north, again, where you're seeing that moving up toward Estill and Powell counties, clipping the southern part there of Clark County. Don't stand down just yet. Okay. Give this a few more minutes, given the history of how this thing has been going. And for you folks in Estill County, the storm is coming at you right now. The straight line winds are along Highway 52. If this thing has any rotation to it, it's up at the extreme, well, it's where Estill, Madison, and Clark County come together. So you're up there by the Kentucky and the Red Rivers. And so that's where we are looking at this storm at the moment.
Yeah, we're still seeing signs of it, for sure.
A tornado warning has been issued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Estill and Powell County.
There we go.
Estill and Powell County. Tornado warning. Till when, Emily?
Till 10:30 a.m.
Till 10:30 a.m. Okay. So you'll see that once the weather computer catches up. Right there it is. The new tornado warning has just been issued.
You notice how it is really, they're really honed in.
Yeah, honing in on it, narrowing it down. So that does include the northern side of Estill County and then runs out towards Powell County. And that goes through 10:30 this morning. So that's the newest tornado warning in a very, very specifically located area. They've really got that thing notched
Which is
out.
Good. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
And, you are looking at that cell. So, again, we've been tracking this thing again. It's moving about a mile a minute.
So Frenchburg next up, potentially. Here's some of the arrival times that Bill just popped up for you. Spout Springs within the next 7 minutes. That's how quick this thing's moving. Out towards Jeffersonville and eventually Watersville on the northeastern side of that storm track within the next 10 minutes. So it's covering ground at a pretty good clip. But if you're within this polygon now, the newest tornado warning, you want to use extreme caution, just like we were telling everybody within Madison County, down towards EKU as it came through there. It's now moving east, so it's in a obviously less populated area, but still can be potentially hazardous to you if you live there. Doesn't matter how many people live there. But you're out towards Log Lick and Cressy. Bill's highlighting some of the areas that are potentially impacted by this. And then right there is Stanton. You're right on the inside of that tornado warning. So you guys are included on it as well. So if you're within Stanton,
Clay City.
Yeah. get indoors, take the appropriate precautions, and protect yourself from this approaching storm that has been showing some fairly consistent signs of rotation and potentially some tornadic development there, and if nothing less, torrential rain and some damaging wind. We just had a heck of a round go across I-75, impacting numerous communities, but it has been this localized area where we've had that potential tornado that has now moved out of Madison County and is now moving towards Powell County and Estill County.
Emily, anything crossing on the chat about Madison County? Any damage?
No warnings, or no damage reports as of yet.
All right, that's good. You don't want to hear damage reports, but
for you folks in Irvin, you're not under the tornado warning. And Ravenna, you're not under the tornado warning. You're under severe thunderstorm warning, but the tornado warning is to your north. So this is going through the rural area there of northern Estill County, right there at the Kentucky and Red Rivers is where it is now. And so Palmer, Cressy, Log Lick, you guys are in your shelters now as this is coming by you now. For Verdon, Clay City, and Stanton, you've got a couple of minutes, but not many. So you want to be getting to your safe spot now. And as we have talked about, we do give you ways to stay safe, and we always talk about the sea duck. And Tom, you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I love talking about the sea duck because it's such important information. We talk about it all the time during severe weather, but we talk about it for a reason because it can protect you. It can save your life if you follow it closely. And it's a very simple formula. Close interior doors, get inside, get downstairs, the lowest level of your house. If you've got a basement, you're good. If you don't have a basement, if you live in a slab like a lot of people do in Kentucky, you get into the interior room, the most interior room you can find, at the lowest level of the house, get under something, the center of your house, and then keep away from the windows. So the idea being, as we always talk about, you want to put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. Kind of think of it as like a protective cocoon, and more layers are better because it protects you from flying debris. And whether or not it's a tornado or just straight line winds, it's good advice to follow. So if you've got something like an interior bathroom in the first floor of your house that you could shut the door to, and then you've still got the exterior walls of your house with the doors, that's an ideal situation if you don't have a basement. Yep. Ongoing activity up to the north, these are all severe thunderstorm warnings. Mount Olivet down through Carlisle, you've got some torrential rain, the possibility of some damaging wind up in that direction.
And with this cell up here, Tom, we saw some chat about coming out of the terminal Doppler out of Covington, out of CVG. Yeah. And they are seeing some pretty good rotation on this, so it's a severe with a TOR possible for the storm up there by Carlisle. Actually, it's to the north, between Carlisle and Mount Olivet at this point is where we are looking at that. So again, when we looked at the storm relative velocity, right, you can see that you do have that little couplet that is sitting right up in here. And again, the terminal Doppler, which is up by Cincinnati, was picking up some real good rotation on it. So again, they're just going with the severe on this, and that also now extends to a warning that goes into Fleming County.
Can we pop back down to the one that we've got going east of Richmond there, and look at the velocity data for that. You can see Log Lick and Cressy, some of the areas that are under that very narrow tornado warning. And right there, back to the west, we've still got indications of that possibility of some rotation. Bill's outlining the most likely area if you've got a tornado, where it would be. So College Hill, Cressy, and again, that northeasterly track taking it off eventually to the north of Stanton. Right there, Stanton. You guys are right on the edge of that tornado warning. But that general northeasterly track, and that storm's moving 50, 60 miles per hour, is going to take it awfully close to Stanton. So if you live in that community, watch out. It's got an arrival time now of around 11 minutes or so. And a little closer communities, Powell Valley within the next 6 minutes. Spout Springs within the next 3 minutes. So these are all these areas that are just in tight. Right there's Viana. Sorry if I mispronounced it, but it's pretty much on top of you at the moment.
Yeah, and if folks are watching along the Mountain Parkway, remember right there at Clay City, you've got the rest area sitting in there.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they've gotten folks there into the restaurants and stuff, into the shelters, because it is on a path very close to it over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and if anybody was possibly out hiking today, definitely a concern for you as these storms get into some of the more scenic areas, but also some of the areas that are being impacted at the moment from this possible tornado, if not tornado, damaging wind.
You see what's popped up there north of Irvin?
Yeah. Higher shear. So I don't know.
But nothing really showing. Well,
yeah,
right in there. Yeah, there's a new development.
Possibility of some rotation down there around Irvin as well.
Yeah.
And there have been multiple couplets that have been showing up with these storms as they progressed, and the line flexes and evolves and changes. So yeah, we've still got that ongoing tornado warning to the north, but that's also another area to watch, even if you don't have an ongoing tornado warning, for the possibility of damaging wind, at least, if not some spin, because we're still getting that green and red matchup, that velocity data that starts to tighten up, that gives you an indication of some rotation within that cell. The most likely spot right now, though, remains out towards Cressy, that Bill just highlighted, where we have the ongoing tornado warning, and then you've got the broader severe thunderstorm warning that does include Irvin. It extends down south and runs all the way down south of Irvin there, so be aware of that as well. Torrential rainfall with that, frequent lightning, and that possibility of some damaging wind.
Yeah, and we can't sleep on the storm up here to the north either. That's going up Carlisle, Fleming, Nicholas County, Fleming County, Robertson County at this point as we continue to watch it. That's a fairly broad rotation that we're looking at on that, but there is at least some shear there going through parts of Robertson County down into Nicholas County. You folks in Ewing and Flemingsburg, you guys need to be in your shelters or very close to them. Remember, when a tornado warning is issued, like what we have for Powell County, a tornado warning does not mean go out on your front porch. Does not mean go get a picture of whatever's coming by so you can put it on the internet.
Take a video.
Tornado warning means get to your safe spot and do it now.
Yes.
As we're looking at that, again, still at the back edge of the storm. So this thing comes through, and you're going to have the heavy rain come through first. And the system, the shear with this is on the back edge. And so Spout Springs is about where that storm would be at this point.
Yeah, that notch right there that Bill just outlined. So if you're in Spout Springs, points farther east, if you're in Stanton, you need to just go ahead and hunker down and get ready to ride out the storm, because it's coming fairly quickly. But it has cleared Madison County more or less. It's right on the county line, and it's heading in towards Stanton at a pretty good clip. So tornado warning ongoing. We've had a number of tornado warnings this morning, but the most current is the one that we've got out there for Estill and Powell County. That goes through 10:30 this morning. And then you've got the broader severe thunderstorm warning that does include Irvin, points farther south. You guys are in on that as well. And while velocity data is not as impressive down there, there still could be a little bit of bowing, some of those stronger winds getting pulled in from aloft and pulled down to the ground that could cause some damage. Right there, Bill just kind of showed that bit of a bow in the overall line. And then you've got that potential for some spin back to the west as you get towards Cressy, now farther east, northeast of Cressy. So, yeah, out towards Stanton as well.
What's the new thing in Emily?
Continued severe thunderstorm warning in Nicholas County with TOR possible.
Okay.
So severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible. And that's the other option that you can have, even if you don't have a straight up tornado warning. You'll hear us talking about it sometimes, a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, meaning there are indications of rotation, but it's maybe not strong enough for them to go with a full bore tornado warning. But you still need to be aware there's that potential for some tornadic development.
I was just taking a look at that stuff down by Mount Vernon. I mean, right now not warned, and we'll keep an eye on it, but right now it is not warned for.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was one issued for that, especially with the way that's bowing out in spots. But the most critical area at this point, obviously, the main item of interest is the tornado warning that does continue in a very narrow region as that storm works its way past Cressy and eventually out towards Stanton. So Bill's got the updated velocity data there, and as he zooms in around Spout Springs, one of the areas potentially impacted, there's Log Lick, which I talked about a little bit ago. But that storm basically just traveling right up on that northeastern trajectory towards Clay City and eventually out, possibly just passing by Stanton to the north or maybe coming awfully close. I mean, it's very close there as far as the track of that storm is. So there you've got that back edge, that little notch that we've been talking about, that heavy rain out east. So you get that wall of water coming in, and then you catch the wind on the back end that you can't see because of all the heavy rain. So it's not like that classic situation where you're going to be able to see it out on the horizon, see it coming. It may be difficult and may be obscured by rain, so you may not be able to see it. You'll know something's coming. You just may not be able to see a tornado on the ground if there is indeed one.
The severe thunderstorm warning has been issued, kind of extended out into Estill, Lee, Menifee, Morgan, Powell, and Wolfe County. Tornado also possible in that, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30.
Okay. So we got yet another one stacked on top of the other ones. That extends all the way out through Campton and points farther east. But the main line remains, at least the worst of the storms, off towards east of Winchester there you can see, and right down approaching Stanton and points farther south towards Irvine. That is the main area of focus at this point, plus that secondary cluster as we head up towards Mount Olive.
Yeah, you notice on the storm relative here, Tom, that it's not as sharp or as well defined as it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's really dropped off.
But still, the warning continues. It does, just because it's gone through a pulse here does not mean it's time to let your guard down. So you folks in Stanton and Clay City, anywhere the northern half there of Powell County, you guys need to remain in shelter at this point. Again, there's having little spin-ups potentially along the line. Our shear product is showing in the southern part there of Powell County. So this is associated with that severe thunderstorm warning. That you are looking at least the possibility there when we look at the velocities on it. Again, not sharp. It's a broad shear at this point, but still damaging wind gusts will be a possibility, and that could tighten up in a second.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long at all. So areas still impacted. Stanton, back to the west, and that narrow polygon for the ongoing tornado warning. That goes through, is it 10:30 this morning? Yeah, severe thunderstorm warnings through 10:30.
I'm sorry, I'll get that up for you in a second here.
That's all right.
There you go,
yeah,
10:30.
It's 10:30, yeah. Powell and Estill County. And then you've got the severe thunderstorm warning down south. Even if you're not in a warned area, we're in a situation where you could easily see some stronger wind gusts blowing through. We had that here in Lexington. Lexington proper was sandwiched by severe thunderstorm warnings north and southern Fayette County. And now we've got ongoing heavier rain points farther north. Mount Sterling's getting soaked. South towards Irvine, you still got that heavy rain and the possibility of some stronger wind gusts down south of Berea. We haven't paid a lot of attention north of Mount Vernon there, but that's looking like that's got the potential to see some, well, they're showing the hail swath where you'd be most likely to see hail. I think the highest hail report I've seen so far this morning was around 0.88, 8/10, almost 9/10 of an inch. I don't know if we've had anything bigger than that. We were showing signs that it could be an inch and a half.
So nickel-sized.
Yeah.
So there's, the warning is just about out of Estill County, I would say, at this point.
Yeah.
In fact, it is out of Estill County.
Yep. So Powell's up.
Is that the official it's out of Estill County?
Actually, yes.
We say it here, it comes out there. So there again, the storm is approaching Stanton. Again, it doesn't have quite the well-defined features that it had a couple of minutes ago, but you can't depend on that. But it looks like it has gone through a little bit of a weakening phase, but it can strengthen right back up again. And then the areas to the south of Stanton, you've got a straight line wind threat, Knowlton, Furnace, Cobb Hill. And again, within this, doesn't take much given this environment for the back edge of this to start showing some rotation. We've had a little bit of it showing up from time to time. And in fact, you can see, well, what you got going on here, this is the rushing back into the system there. So that's the rotation trying to get going. Knowlton to Furnace. It's not a tornado warning yet, but it's part of a severe thunderstorm warning where a tornado is possible, and you need to take that as your first step to, like, okay, where's my safe spot? How close can I stay to it, and be prepared to move into it at a moment's notice. Again, because you're not going to see this coming because it's going to be completely rain wrapped. Whatever happens here is going to be obscured by heavy rain.
How are we looking up north?
North?
Yeah. That area that we were watching. Still have severe thunderstorm warnings, numerous up there. Maysville, Flemingsburg, well, pretty much northeastern Kentucky at this point, torrential rainfall.
Yeah.
Some of the strongest, though, around 62. You can see that changeover in colors.
You
Right
see that over there, the eastern tip there of Fleming County. Excuse me, western tip of Fleming County, west of Flemingsburg.
Rotation there. So south of Maysville with that northeasterly track, taking it close to Flemingsburg, if not just to the north of it. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning, but still an area that bears watching for our viewers up into northern Kentucky as well, because you've had your own activity to deal with there.
Yeah, just for the folks there in Fleming County to know, so as that is moving to the northeast as well, this is what you need to be ready for. Let me get that so you can actually see the times.
There we go. Flemingsburg Junction, 7 minutes. Flemingsburg proper, 11 minutes. So, even though that sells back to the southwest, you've got roughly about 10 minutes before it's there in Flemingsburg. And then further northeast, you've got Mount Gilead and Poplar Grove. Those are within that 14 to 15 minute time frame there. And you've got that ongoing warning that's likely going to drop pretty soon around Carlisle. Still the ongoing tornado warning, including Stanton, as you get down to Powell County. They dropped it for Estill County, northern Estill County, but there you can see Irvin and points farther south are ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings for you guys.
And what you've got going on here with that severe thunderstorm warning, look at that sharp line right there.
Yeah, in the bow.
So that's going to be where a damaging wind gust is a pretty good likelihood with that line.
This reminds me of that line that came through a few years ago across southern Madison County.
Yeah, there's not a lot of rotation at the moment left on this storm. We still got about 15 minutes left to go on the official warning. But again, the cell that we have been watching forever here is showing some signs that it is straightening out as it's getting to that front range of hills in Estill and Powell counties. So as it's trying to make that ascent up that first ridge there, it may be running out of a little bit of gas, getting not into a favorable environment.
Velocity data is much less impressive there. So we still do have a tornado warning in effect, but it's that very localized area, including Stanton, through 10:30 this morning. So again, if you're just tuning in, we've had numerous tornado warnings throughout the morning, severe thunderstorm warnings from this line that's come in. The instability wasn't looking great this morning, but we've had quite a bit of wind shear and enough that we've had a number of warnings prompted and still have ongoing warnings. Even if you're not under this very narrow tornado warning for parts of Powell County, we've still got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. Some of those are tornado possible because they're still seeing signs of rotation within the line. You can see some of the wind shear that Bill's got highlighted running down through around Furnace into parts of northeastern Estill County there. Right there, Slade, southern parts of Powell County, the Parkway, all those areas out to the east need to watch out as this line continues to track in. And yeah, that's looking pretty mean down to the south there.
Yeah. So it's, again, the storm itself, the tornadic part, if it was left, is going to be pretty much on Stanton at this point. But again, it looks like that part has kind of spun itself out. We'll continue to look at that. And again, you guys, that's just because we're saying it looks like for the moment it's spun itself out, do not come out of your shelters yet. Clay City and Stanton. If you are south of the Mountain Parkway there in Powell County, give it another 5 minutes and then come out of your shelter. If you're south of the Mountain Parkway, give it another 5 minutes or so and you should be okay at this point. But again, for areas north of Stanton, Clay City, you guys are still right on this storm as it's coming through Powell County. Although it looks like we're showing the greatest shear with the southern flank now. So this is how this may be evolving.
Dropping south a little bit.
Yeah, we're seeing this beginning to plow, the downdraft plow back in. And so we're going to watch that area Knowlton to Furnace, but then headed up the mountain there towards Slade. So we're getting into the Red River Gorge area as well.
Yeah, there we go. Down on that southeastern side of Estill County there.
Emily, anything off the chat?
No, I'm not seeing any kind of damage reports other than what has been mentioned. Just a lot of, looks like some damage in downtown Harrodsburg. That's the only thing I'm seeing right now.
And anything crossed on a social through Madison County?
No, that's what I'm looking at right now. I don't see anything.
All right. For folks in Madison County where you are now safe, if you have any damage, if you had anything happen, certainly get that information over to us. Social medias or email, easy enough to do.
Yeah, multiple options for you. Twitter, email the station, our Facebook page, Instagram. I don't even know what all the platforms we're on. I don't think I'm even on all the ones that we're on, but there are multiple opportunities, multiple ways that you can contact us and report that. And it's helpful for us, and we also relay that information on to the National Weather Service if you don't send it directly to them, and that helps them as well. With a damage assessment where they're going to scout out storm damage, things of that nature. So the tornado warning does continue through 10:30 this morning for Powell County. It has shrunk down to its most limited area here, and you've got these ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings warnings that extend all the way out through Campton. I mean, look how far east they're going there. Just out ahead, kind of taking that storm track into account, that northeasterly storm track. And you've got that cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings into northern Kentucky as well. And then that pretty hefty round coming through just north of Mount Vernon, southeast of Berea. Even though it's not warned, still some torrential rain out of that one. And how are we looking for hail? The rainfall rate just absolutely torrential. So the possibilities there for these storms, even if they do start to lose some of that rotation, to still pack a punch into our eastern Kentucky counties. So here in the bluegrass, the threat is more or less starting to wind down, but as this round pushes into eastern Kentucky, as Bill's showing you there, we're still likely going to see some ongoing warnings. Maybe not tornado warnings, but definitely the chance for some severe thunderstorm warnings as these stronger cells push into our eastern counties. He's got some of the arrival times of the one coming out of eastern Estill County there. So that takes it out towards Torrent within the next 6 minutes, Rogers 8 minutes. These storms, if you look at that forward speed there, they're moving east-northeast around 60 miles per hour. So they're not wasting time, which gives you less time to prepare for them to get there.
Yeah, and going back on the storm relative velocity, again, it's a very broad rotation that's showing up right around Stanton.
Yeah.
And so, again, that's not the tight circulation that we were seeing earlier. It's almost trying to tighten up a little bit there at Knowlton to Furnace, where that secondary area that we've been highlighting, which right now just has that severe thunderstorm warning with it.
And this goes for about another, what time is it? 10 minutes before that is set to expire.
Yeah, it'll be out of the warning before the expiration time.
Before it expires, yeah. So, yeah, areas that Bill was talking about out towards Slade, some of the Gorge area, down through eastern Estill County. You've got just absolutely torrential rain and that possibility of some stronger wind gusts there. But right there is that...
right through in there is where you're getting the strong downdraft into the back of the storm. That's pushing the line out ahead of it.
You see that bow and that forward line there.
And the warning is canceled for Powell.
Okay, yeah, they just canceled the tornado warning.
All right, tornado warning is kaput. That's out. We've still got ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings that, of course, we are going to continue to track. And for now, we're going to toss it over to Angie on the news desk for some updates.
All right, Tom, thanks so much. Thanks to you and Bill and Emily for all those updates throughout this morning so far. And good morning to everyone watching. You have been watching our continued coverage of this severe weather that's moving through central Kentucky. We have been seeing power outages throughout central Kentucky as well as the storm moved through. Let's take a live look at the Kentucky Utilities outage map. Right now, the worst affected county is Mercer County. More than 5,000 people have lost power there. We've also received several calls from people there, and according to the outage map, that includes Mercer County High School. There are 800 people without power just north of there in Anderson County as well. And further north, Owen County also has a large number of outages with more than 1,000. KU is still assessing the situation in both areas. It does not have an estimated time of restoration quite yet, and surely they're working in some other counties throughout our area as well now too. And let's take a look at this picture. This was sent in to us from Mercer County. This helps tell the story there. A power pole snapped in half and caught on fire. This is just off of US 127 on the north end of town there outside of Harrodsburg. And let's take a look at this video from that same scene just after 9 o'clock this morning. You can see how strong the wind was blowing. They eventually turned that camera down to show that same power pole that we just showed you that snapped and caught fire. This is near the biggest power outage, which includes most of the county's public schools. Again, that's in Mercer County there. And heading a little further south on 127 and on into Harrodsburg, this is the old National Guard Armory building. You can see that some of the roof was stripped off. You can see first responders and a school bus there as well. We don't have reports on any injuries in that area yet, but we do have a crew who is headed to Mercer County, and we hope to bring you many updates as soon as we get them. And back here in Lexington, LEX 18 chief photographer Brian Stahl shot some video just outside of our station as the storm is rolling through. Take a listen. we're hearing the sirens that were going off. You know, those went off for several minutes around the area here. Of course, we're on the north side of Lexington, so the sirens going off all around town this morning. And students in Fayette County Public Schools, they were taking shelter throughout the storm. This is a look at students taking shelter at one elementary school. We're happy to say that they are now out of that shelter as those storms have passed. And taking a look across town, facilities at the University of Kentucky took shelter this morning during the tornado warnings. This is a look at people taking shelter in one of the medical facilities. UK officials sent a message at 9:52 this morning that the emergency had passed and that normal activity would be resuming. Well, we have been watching these storms roll through the Lexington area, and Christiana Ford and her photographer have been in the New Circle Road and Broadway area. Let's go now to her live for a look at that area.
Yeah, Angie, the rain is coming down now, but it's lighter than it was just minutes ago. It's starting to ease up a little bit. But what I really want to show you is some of the puddling that we've seen causing some minor flooding spots here. You can see from the side of the roads, you can see that there is water on the sides, and that has caused some accidents here in Fayette County, one on I-75 and one on I-64. So it is causing some hazards across the bluegrass, so you want to be careful of that. But when those sirens went off, we did see people still out here on the road, still traveling to where they had to go, trying to make the most out of this situation. But definitely you're going to want to be safe because the rain is still coming down and causing some hazardous conditions. Back to you guys.
Christiana Ford live out there in Lexington. Thanks so much, Christiana. Well, we have seen some damage reports come in from across our viewing area all morning. Evelyn Schultz joins me now in studio with a look at more of what we're seeing.
Yeah, and we are getting pictures into our newsroom, but we do want to remind you, as the meteorologists were saying, as Bill and Tom and Emily have been saying, if you are in an area with a warning, do not go outside to take a picture. That is the time to take shelter. Staying safe is your #1 priority. Anyone who is out traveling right now really needs to be careful. We did send one of our LEX 18 crews south on I-75 heading towards Richmond. You can see just how wet and windy it is. This was shot from the passenger seat. I guess we don't have video currently, but we know that they are traveling, so we will be sure to get that video to you as soon as it comes into our newsroom. And again, if you do have to go out, be extra careful and just give yourself some extra time to get where you're going. Again, safety is of the utmost importance when the weather is this severe. Angie?
Certainly, Evie. Thanks so much for that. All good tips there. And we are all going to need to be weather aware today. We want to go back to our Storm Tracker weather team. Let's go over to meteorologist Tom Ackerman with more on what's happening right now.
Yeah, thanks, Angie. And even though the tornado warnings have dropped out for the time being, we still have ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings. One area that we're watching down to the south, parts of Lee County. And as you get right down in there, you can see where some of that stronger wind is on the leading edge of that round of showers and storms. I believe, Bill, you said it's about 1,100 feet up there where we're seeing. Yeah. Ridge tops, we're getting 50, 60 mile per hour potential winds there. So even if you don't have a tornado, you can still have some strong damaging wind gusts on the leading edge of these storms as they push in. And we've got ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings out there. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this. Of course, if there are additional tornado warnings, we'll be back with you again. But for now, hunker down, ride these storms out. We'll keep you informed via social media, Twitter, Facebook, all the usual modes, and we'll return you to regular programming for the time being.